What's up, guys? The average hockey fan here, Scotty2 Hockey, and an absolutely devastating loss for the Montreal Canadiens. They can't keep losing games late like this. It happened against Toronto about 10 games ago. It happened earlier in the season against Buffalo and Washington. This is 4 games this season I count. They blew the game within the last few minutes of the game, in a game that they were in. In the first period of this game, New York Islanders set the pace. Barry Trotz has New York playing a great style of hockey. They played the best game of dump and chase hockey I've ever seen, I've ever witnessed in played against Montreal. That will, at least in the past 5 or 6 years, every single puck New York dumped into the Habs zone, they were first ones to the puck. They retrieved it every time. They had the Habs pinned in their zone. Montreal could not stay in the Islanders zone. Their power play was abysmal. Their penalty kill was abysmal. Carey Price is the only reason they didn't get blown out of this game like they did in the Anaheim game. Carey Price stood on his head in this game. He had 5-star save after 5-star save, and the Habs looked atrocious. Yes, they had a decent second period. They were in it in the third period, I guess. New York controlled the pace of the game. Their fans could tell that they were going to win this game. I could tell going into the third period, I could just sense it, that disaster was going to happen. I didn't want to. When it got down to about 3 or 4 minutes, my hopes were that Montreal could hold it together. They actually had a good opportunity right before New York scored that game-winning goal. And bad bonehead play by Domi, bad defensive play on the other end, leads to a nice goal by Andres Lee off a beautiful pass from Matt Barzal, and Habs lose the game late in a game that Price stood on his head. What this game reminded me was of the New York Rangers playoffs a couple years ago, 2 years ago, when Habs played the New York Rangers. Price standing on his head, doing everything he can to hold his team into the game, and the team just can't score. And when they do score, they make so many defensive plays, so many defensive lapses that Price can only do so much, and the other team eventually beats them and end up losing a low-scoring game. That's what this reminded me of. Every game in that series was like that, and that's what happened in this game against the New York Islanders. Brutal. This was like a playoff game. These are two teams that could have possibly met in the playoffs. Doesn't look like it's going to happen now, but they could have possibly met. And this is a huge blow to Montreal. So all Habs fans, all of us got to pray Columbus loses tomorrow so they can at least stay tied with Columbus and have the same amount of games played. Because if Columbus wins tomorrow, they'll have the same amount of games played, but the Habs will officially be chasing Columbus. They've been tied for a while now, but the Habs will officially be chasing Columbus if Columbus wins tomorrow. And if Carolina wins tomorrow, because Columbus and Carolina are playing each other tomorrow, Carolina gets that 5-point lead on the Habs, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 they have up on the Habs now, but they'd have at least a 4 or 5-point lead on the Habs. So either way, this was a brutal loss. This was a back-breaking loss. This was if they had to win the game, even get a point in it, and Columbus had to lose, they'd at least be in the wild card spot. I wanted to see him back in the playoffs after tonight. I wanted to wake up tomorrow and look at that bracket and see Montreal in that second wild card spot. And as a Habs fan, it rips my heart out to see him lose like this and to see Price lose that kind of game in a game he deserved to win after setting that record. That's all I can say on that one. It was disgusting. Anyways, Habs shots 34, hits 24, face-offs even 50% for both teams. Power play was atrocious, 0 for 2. Penalty kill was atrocious. Price was the best penalty killer of the night, 2 for 2. Greiss was an excellent penalty killer for New York tonight too. He didn't have to do much, but he did a good job when he had to. Carey Price stopped 36 of 38 shots, had a .940 save percentage. Greiss had an overall great game too, though. New York Islanders had 38 shots, 31 hits. Face-off percentage was 50%. The power play was 0 for 2. The penalty kill was 2 for 2. Greiss had a .970 save percentage and stopped 33 of 34 shots. The first period, there was no scoring, but New York Islanders completely controlled the pace. It could have been a 4-0, 3-0 first period for the New York Islanders. Price made beautiful save after beautiful save. He made a save right off the hop on Andres Lee, where he got a rebound, and Lee had pretty much a nice backhand attempt, and Price got the pad down like lightning to stop the backhand attempt, to stop the puck from going under it. He made very nice saves tonight. The goal that he did get beat on for the game winner was not a weak goal by no means. It was 2 very skilled players, 2 of the best Islanders players on a 2-on-1 play. Beautiful cross-ice pass from Barzal. The best goalies in the world are going to get beat on those kind of plays, so I don't hold that against Price. I hold that against a bad defensive effort and a bad play by Domi on the other end. Second period opens up 1:20 in. Pelech scores off I believe it was a bad defensive turnover in the Habs' own zone. I can't remember who made it. Anyways, Bulave, I can't even say his name, ends up getting the puck, getting it over to Pelech, and Pelech puts a wrist shot overpriced. It was the first goal of the game, and it looked like it may even hold up for to be the game winner the way this game was going, because the Habs couldn't get anything quality on Grace. It wasn't until Ben actually scored a goal that it looked like they were getting anything quality. Yes, they had a few shots on net that were deflected and almost went in, but as far as coming in, getting clean shots on net, getting traffic in front of net, getting stuff that you would call a quality shot that you're actually going to score on, I didn't see much of it at all. I seen a couple nice attempts in front of net off of rebound on Grace, but each time the player fanned. There was one for Domi where he pretty much had a wide open net. He couldn't corral it on his backhand. There was one for Galley where it just went over his stick. There was one for Deneau where he couldn't. He was too far over on the side of the net. So that was hurting the Habs there. If they had to make a deadline acquisition like Wayne Simmons, a guy like that is a guy that can scoop up those goals. Guys like JVR in Philly, obviously he wasn't available. That kind of player, if they had to make anything close to that, guys like that. Armia is supposed to be that kind of player, but he plays fourth line, so he wasn't in the position to do that. So I don't know what to say there. The Habs looked terrible in tight tonight. In front of their own net, there were so many breakdowns. Weber looked slow tonight to me. He fell down. He got hurt at one point. I kind of was scared. He looked like he was leaned over on the bench. And from that point forward, he didn't have a good game. And anyways, after that 18-10, Ben gives us a bit of hopes that ended up being dashed, unfortunately. 18-10, Ben gets a nice pass from Barn. He shoots a slap shot. It looked like Nate Thompson tipped it or Jordan Wheel tipped it. There was lots of traffic in front of the net, but I don't think Grice seen it, and it beat Grice clean. Ben ended up getting a goal. It's his career high 5 goals, so career year for Ben. It's going to suck if the Habs don't make the playoffs with all these guys having career years. I hear people saying, oh, it's a good experience for the players to have a good year as long as the players are playing well. No, it's a good experience for him to win. It's a good experience for him to get into the playoffs. For a young player like Kotkaniemi to experience what it's like to play in the playoffs in Montreal, to want to stay in Montreal, to want to build himself as a true Habs legend, because when you feel that atmosphere in Montreal, it's why Jeff Petrie resigned. You hear players talk about it all the time. You hear guys like Wyatt talk about it in their heyday. You hear the greats like Guy Lafleur talk about how great it was to play playoff hockey in Montreal. Even guys like Guy Carbonneau, like, it's just brutal, man. Carey Price's prime years are being wasted. I want to see some playoffs, even if we're not going to win the cup this year. Come on, guys, get into the playoffs. Anyways, 17:03 of the third period after a chippy third period. Couple nice attempts up in New York Islanders end by the Habs. They had a couple nice quality chances in the third. What can I say? They were showing a bit of push. They were showing a bit of fight. But unfortunately, Domi makes a boneheaded play. It ends up turning into a turnover, which was pretty much a 3-on-1, but Komarov kind of fell back. Ended up being a 2-on-1 for Barzal and Lee. Barzal makes a beautiful pass under the defender's stick. I'm not sure if it was Petrie or not. I can't remember who it was. Under the defender's stick. And Lee buries a beautiful goal. Game winner. And I'm pretty sure he got the first star of the game, if I'm not mistaken. He was all over the Habs tonight. Price was the reason why he didn't have more goals, because he had lots. He had to have at least 6 or 7 shots on net, and all of them had to be quality attempts on the second power play especially. So Lee ended up getting the game winner. Hopes are dashed for the Habs. They end up getting 0 points in the game. All of us fans are so deflated after this loss. You should see Twitter. You should see social media. It's blown up. I don't even want to check my Facebook feed, because I do have a few Leafs fans on my Facebook feed that love to razz me when the Habs lose. And most times I'm pretty good about it. I'm a good sport. But after this game, my heart is just wrenched out of my chest. Anyways, guys, hopefully you like this video. I truly wouldn't blame you if you don't, but please subscribe to the channel, join the following, get on board. Feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for viewing. Have a great night, the best you can after that loss. This is Mr. Average Hockey Fan, over and out. I'll have the Blackhawks review for your Saturday.